What's up YouTube, Amisbro here, and this is episode number 16 in the anime review series. This is the one in which we take a look at a series that I own in my collection, and then we talk about whether or not it's really as good as people have said, or if it's kinda and you just stay away from it. For the 16th episode, we're actually looking at a season review for Pyscho-Pass. Now, this actually is a two-part season. This is part 1, obviously, and here's part 2. The idea behind the series, and the big thing, is, could you imagine living in a world where just what you're thinking could get you killed? Welcome to the future of Japan. In this world, it is governed by a computer system called Civil, which basically takes a person's Pyscho-Pass, and by judging by its hue, as well as some other things, i.e. one of being your crime coefficient, it could determine whether or not you're really a danger to society. Anything below 300, and you're probably just going to get knocked out. Matter of fact, you have to be at least over 100 to be deemed a latent criminal. Reach 300, and you could be in for some problems, because the weapon known as the Dominator comes into effect, and you could either be paralyzed or worse, killed. The Dominator is judge, it's jury, it's executioner. That's it. Now, the Dominators are given to inspectors and enforcers. An inspector is someone who meets all the qualifications of an assessment and can join the MWPSB. We'll just call it the PSB because that's too goddamn long for me. An enforcer is someone who was deemed a latent criminal but could still function in society in some way. In this case, they function as being the watchdog or the guard dogs of their inspectors. And what you find is, through the course of the series, there's actually a very interesting array of personalities along with these different inspectors and the enforcers themselves, and the story that develops as far as not just going to find the criminals, but the relationship between them, how they all work out, is brilliantly laid out. Now, I should probably get into some of this, shouldn't I? Alright. I want you to meet the woman on the right hand side of this cover here. Her name is Akane Tsunemori. She is a rookie inspector who passed an assessment test and could do whatever she wanted. She chose to join the MWPSB, or as I'm saying, we're going to call it the PSB. On the left-hand side of the box here, that man's name is Shinya Kogami, a former inspector who got his crime coefficient up high enough that he got demoted. Oh yeah, and it also doesn't hurt that he couldn't bring down 3 years prior a very dangerous criminal. A criminal who you don't really meet until about the 4th episode of the season. Remember, it's a 22 episode season we're going on here. Now, here's the thing. They're all pretty much laid back and mellow and chill, and they all work for the PSB in Unit 1. One of their superiors is a man named Genoza. That's what I know him by, because I'll be fucked if I can remember his actual full name. Here's all the people that you meet through the course of the series, as far as the enforcers go. You have Shinya Kogami. We met him. There's one named Totome. I believe he's the father, actually, of Genoza. At least that's the way it's brought up towards the end. But you have Totome, who's a really cool character. Like, if you have to be a latent criminal and you have to be an enforcer and you're going to be a rookie cop, have a guy like him on your side, or at least mentoring you, because he's not gonna raise his voice, obviously, if he doesn't want his crime coefficient to go up on you. But he's just that kind of dude that just kind of like lays back and goes, ah. But at the same time, he mentors the inspector, Akane, through the series, which is brilliantly done. Just freaking brilliant. Now, and there's also, I believe it's Shusei, who he was pegged as a latent criminal at the age of 5. Boy, they peg him young, don't they? 5 years old, and he was deemed a latent criminal, which pretty much means the only thing he could do if he wanted to do was be an enforcer. He's actually a pretty good dude. He, for the most part, looks out for Akane in his own way, especially early in the series when he had to question her whether or not she really wanted to do it and why she chose that field, which she really couldn't answer, which was a shame. But I think she figured it out later why she really chose the field. And there's some other members who I honestly can't remember right now for you. But those are some of the big ones. Genoza's relationship with her is kind of weird, because he has to be rough on her because he's the head of Unit 1, or the PSP. But at the same time, I think he wanted the best for her, so he wanted to make sure that she never crossed that threshold to be demoted from inspector to enforcer. And for that, he should be commended, and the characters definitely did what he needed to do, as far as I'm concerned. Now let's get to the big thing, because around episode 4 is when we actually meet the kingpin of everything, or we start to meet him, and that is this gentleman. His name is Shogo Makishima. He is a very dangerous criminal, because you see, the civil system has a weakness when it comes to him. No matter how disgusting, no matter how vile, no matter how sick he can be to people, his crime coefficient never goes high enough that the Dominator can be used on him. Never. It actually goes low and keeps going lower to the point where there's no way it could be used on him. None. That's pretty scary stuff, isn't it? Imagine that. You know the guy, you know someone's a sick son of a bitch. You know that you have to take him out, but you can't use the weapon that you're supposed to be able to use on anybody else. Think about that. Trust me, when you see episode 11 and you realize what's going on, let me talk about that episode. Now I saw a gift set of of the particular scene that I'm going to talk about in episode 11. But I didn't actually see everything in the entire context of this. And there's those rare moments when I have to look away, where I'm legitimately screaming at my television or my computer screen, "No! No!" Like, this can't happen. Episode 11. Just to give you the background. Akane and Shinya Kogami were looking for a friend. We're trying to find a friend of Akane's. So they're going through this maze in this plant. Well, Shogo decided he was going to capture her. And not only did he do that, but he handcuffed her to a railing so she couldn't go anywhere. Meanwhile, this sick son of a bitch is walking on a scaffold above Akane. Okay? He has a blade which would be sharp enough to do what he wanted to do. And what was funny was he threw her a shotgun. Okay? Or was that a rifle? No, it was a rifle, I'm sorry. That was one too. Anyway, he threw the weapon to her, and he dared her to shoot him. Now she's got in this hand the weapon he threw her. In this hand, she has the Dominator, which wouldn't be able to be used on him because his coefficient wasn't high enough. Twice she fired a bullet. Twice she missed. The end result became one of the most disturbing endings to an episode of any television show I've ever seen. And keep in mind, I saw Black Butler. The entire first half of the show, just so we're clear, it seems the crimes were getting sicker and more demented and more twisted. But when you realize who was behind everything and who was the mastermind and the puppet master, as the term goes, and who's pulling strings, you just go, holy fuck. And that is how sinister, that is how vile this show got. And that was only, just so we're clear, that was only the first half. Then you get to the second half, and all hell breaks loose. Because they found a weakness in the civil system. But things started happening that swung it back towards the enforcers and back towards the PSB. And you also started to understand more of the backstory between one of the enforcers and how she became one, and you understood a lot of the other parts of different characters also, especially Genoza. I'm going to say this now. This was only season 1. Okay, there is a second season coming up in October. It would behoove of you to get this, because I'm going to tell you this right now. Just the parts that I told you about the story, whew, that alone will do it for you. But also, the animation was top notch. The music, the theme song in the second half of the season is even better. It's called Out of Control by the group, I believe it's called Nothing Left to Lose. Somebody will correct me in the comments, probably. But it was brilliantly done. it showed you how to do a psychological thrill ride, and it also made you wonder, could you imagine living in a world where just thinking something could get you killed? Think about that. Now, voice acting was really well done. I actually am going to, after I get this done, look up who voiced Shogo Nakashima, because here's the weird thing. I called him on Tumblr a really sick fuck, because he was. There's no way I can put. There's no other way I can put it for you. He was just. He's a whole other level. He also, in a weird way, was a character that could justify why he was doing things, and that's why his crime coefficient could not. That's why the Dominator could never be used on him, because his crime coefficient couldn't go high enough. You know, for him, they would have to use old-fashioned ways of doing it. And also the personal and emotional struggles of Genoza, what he went through, you know, Tomomi, him trying to mentor Akane, trying to also help Genoza out. It was a brilliantly laid out story. The characters were very well developed. Very well. It's hard for me to say that it was better than, say, Yuri or better than Kuroko's Best Ball, or even the characters from Dear Boys. But they were done well enough that you felt for them and you were rooting for them and you wanted them to catch the bad guy. You also, I mean, there's so many layers to this show that I couldn't do it justice, to be honest. It was that well laid out, and it was just awesome. You would be doing yourself a disservice to not see this series. This is season 1, which is on DVD. Season 2 starts in October, and next year there's going to be a movie based on Pyscho-Pass. So, I know it seems like I've been doing a lot of series and giving a lot of passing grades, but to be truthful, a series like this, a series like K, a series like Kuroko's Best Ball, a series like La Corda, they've all met the expectations, and I have very high expectations when it comes to anime, but they've all met them. And you would be doing yourself a disservice if you did not watch Pyscho-Pass. It's 22 episodes long, but those 22 episodes are going. Here's my one disclaimer that I'm going to say that I don't like. You usually, after the end credits of an episode, get a preview of what's coming up in the next episode. Well, they don't do that here. They just go. So, you kind of have to be on your toes for that. Also, I should also mention this. In both halves, okay? Let's see here. In both halves, the first disc is 7 episodes long, and the second one is 4 episodes long. That's on both of them, just so we're clear. Also, if you don't live in North America, that's actually not a problem, or Region 1. That's not an issue. In case anybody was wondering, the region availability for this series is Regions 1, 2, and 4. And the DVDs are or the Blu-rays are regions A and B accordingly. So I thought I would bring that to your attention now, just in case anybody wonders what regions they get, because most of the series are region 1 enabled. So, with that being said, I definitely give this a passing grade. If you said to me out of 5, what would you give it? About maybe a 4.5. I don't take off for that the way they transition to the next episode. There were some things that kind of irked me that I did not mention, like there was a thing with the chief, but you'll see what I mean if you watch it. Anywho, you all have a great night, and I will talk to you in the next review. Now, do I know when that's going to be? Nah, but that's the fun part. I think I might do a Crunchyroll one next. We'll see. Talk to you in a bit.